Good news for Tesla keeps on coming fast and furious. With so many new updates directly from Tesla just last night, the stock is bound to take off. First, a Tesla Semi has been spotted testing for full self-driving. With FSD now going wide on the Cybertruck, it makes sense that even the Semi will get it, but most are surprised how quickly it's coming. Second, even more updates on actual smart summon have been announced. A great feature, even getting better. And third, Tesla just dropped a very long list of all the things they knocked out of the park in September. Fourth, was there an Easter egg in that post by Tesla? Could they have shown the silhouette of the Robotaxi? And did they also hint at an FSD partnership with Hyundai? Finally, Tesla just won a big lawsuit claiming they were making misleading statements about FSD. So I got Hans Nelson joining us. Hans has his own YouTube channel called Hans C. Nelson. Check out his X account as well. Thank you, Hans.
Thanks for having me, Herbert.
So I'm going to start off. There's just a lot to cover today with literally just last night. Things have dropped. I'm going to start off with Semi because I think this is something that people are not even thinking about. But there's been a Tesla Semi that's been spotted testing and calibrating for full self-driving. I mean, it makes sense, doesn't it? That, you got FSD being with all the cars, AI3, AI4, you got it now released for the Cybertruck. Why wouldn't they be testing it on Semi? But few people have been talking about it. So let me go and play this video. So there's a Semi, there's a lot of gear on top, grabbing ground truth data. This has been spotted. Does that look like to you that it's testing FSD?
Yeah, it does. So it looks like that unit that's on top more than likely is a LiDAR. And we know from Andrej Karpathy's interview recently, and we've known this for a long time, but it was just confirmed once again, that they actually do collect data with the LiDARs early on in the training. And that is a way to help validate the overall vision system and make sure that it is able to provide results on location and also on objects that it might be coming or might interfere with. And so they can create the same type of data that they would get from a LiDAR with the vision system, but you have to actually validate and make sure that that's true. And so they use these sensors while they're creating the FSD model to begin with for that vehicle. And it is vehicle specific because, the camera orientations and placements are going to be different. It's hard to say if the cameras that they're planning to put on the Semi are hardware 4 cameras, or if potentially, depending on when it is that they plan to deploy this, that could even be hardware 5 cameras that they're doing some testing with as well. And so there's multiple different dimensions that they could have, not only is it, the new vehicle platform, but potentially new hardware that they would want to do the validation on. And they would want to make sure that, yes, they actually can pull all of the data off of that and stitch it together and use it intelligently and make the system work. And that's what it looks like we're seeing here. We've seen that before on other models. We've seen that with the Cybertruck. We've seen it with the Model Y and the Model 3. And I remember almost every time you see them running around testing a specific vehicle platform with LiDAR, then there's a group of Tesla Q people that are like, oh, see, Tesla was wrong. They're having to use LiDAR now, and they're going to use these on all their cars. And that's just not how this works. They do use it at training time to improve the quality of the models that they're using. And so they actually do get the benefit of LiDAR as a technology in the training stack. But then when they deploy it on actual vehicles in production, they eliminate the need for that. And so it's kind of the best of both worlds. They get some LiDAR data, they're able to develop their system with it, but it doesn't actually have to go on the millions of cars that get delivered to customers.
Yeah, there's, I think, 2 very big things about this, right? So first is that it's another proof point that Tesla can now take FSD and put in different form factors. I mean, we always knew that that was the case, but there was people that were telling me that, oh no, they can only do it for like just cars and, and nothing different. Well, what? Of course they can. So that's really big. And the second one is Semi doing FSD. We just reported last month, Pepsi had a very successful pilot with Tesla Semi. They own 86 trucks already, hit every milestone out of the park. They're going to be very successful. Now you're adding the potential for robo-trucking. And especially if it's just the highways, right? It's much more easier to understand that they're going to do robo-trucking on highways. Why not, right? Yeah.
Even if it's just an active safety feature, which I don't
Right.
think that that's the ceiling on what it can achieve. But even if it's just an extremely helpful active safety feature, the types of accidents that 18 wheelers get in are so severe that
Yeah.
just that by itself provides tremendous value to society, but also tremendous value economically to trucking companies. And then if you layer on top of that the ability to potentially do platooning or eventually full robotic trucking, um, the implications for that are massive. And
Yeah.
we've seen, not only now have they rolled out to the Cybertruck, but like the Semi is the next vehicle platform after the Cybertruck that needs to actually have the system validated for it. And so it makes complete sense now that we've seen Cybertruck get FSD, that Semi is the next thing that they're
Perfect.
testing.
All right. We got news last night that there's more things coming to Actual Smart Summit, a fantastic feature already going viral. People have been taking videos. And so far, every video, like basically all of us have Actual Smart Summit in our Teslas now. We can go to any parking lot, Summit to anywhere we want it to go, and it's going really well. Well, yesterday they said they shared this information. There's going to be more improvements. Improved public high-speed road aborts, improved block camera aborts, reduced false positive collision mitigation aborts, redefined dumb summon, added custom. That's when you just want it to go back out or go forward. That's it.
Yep.
Added custom and fart completion sounds. You can add custom sort. So when it ends, you want it to tell you it ends. You can have some sort of sound. And then coming soon. My God, this is great. You're going to be able to link it to your garage so that it just right it parks it for you. You go and you drop off and you let it open the garage, park in the garage, close the garage. What a great thing. And then usage without continuous press. So right now they're just trying to be very safe. You can you have to keep pressing the button and you have to keep looking at the camera on your phone to be tracking everything. But soon they will brief. What's your thoughts on all these new features?
Yeah, those are all like huge low hanging fruit for the
Yeah.
improvement of this piece of functionality. I've tested it out on my car. The public road aborts were the thing that surprised me because I was operating it well inside of the parking lot, but there
Yeah.
was a public road on the other side of, concrete barriers, and it thought that it was too close to a public road, and so even though I was in the parking lot, it shut down
Hmm.
and really stranded the car. I had to like run all the way across the parking lot to go rescue the car because it wouldn't move anymore. And so fixing that is definitely going to be something that is like you can't just have it randomly stop because it got 100 feet from a public road, even though it's in the parking lot that you're trying to get out of. And that being the first thing that they say on here is
Yeah.
the
Hmm.
list of features that they want to improve is a big encouragement to me. But all of these things, like obviously this is the first iteration of the software, um, and we're now on the road of improving this specific piece of functionality to the point where, yeah, like just being able to come home and have it automatically pull you into your garage, like that's really one of the last things that 12.5.4 already feels like my chauffeur. But when I begin and end my thing, I always have to do, you know, 10 feet or 20 feet or 50 feet worth of driving
Yeah. Yeah.
to begin and end. And we're talking about now even solving those last couple of feet. And it's just exciting to see the full suite of functions being brought to customers that will make this a legit robotaxi.
Yeah, I'm actually very very excited about actual smart summon. Initially I was going, is this just going to be a parlor trick, or is it going to be
Mhm.
party trick, or is it going to be like a real useful thing? Then as you think about it and hear people tell you, there's a lot of use cases, right? So of course, if it's heavily raining,
Yep.
my wife and children, if you have females in general, they tell me that, oh, you don't have to worry about parking lots. I'm always so scared to walk through a parking lot, always checking everywhere. Maybe you can call it to you to come to your lobby. You have your lots of children with you, if you have elderly, if you have like people with disabilities, um, and
Yep.
just the coolness of it, time. Park just I don't want to waste my time looking for a parking spot. I drop me off, go, like
Go
we
fi
were just
Yep.
at a supermarket, right? Like I was just thinking to myself, my God, what a great thing, right? If this works already, I can just drop it, let it go find a parking spot for me. Okay, so this is a big deal. Let's go. So we've got Ashok Swami, director of autopilot for Tesla, then also said that actual Smart Summon is going to come to the legacy S and X in Q4 and in Q4 already. We're talking about, taking a feature and applying it to retroactively to all cars that Tesla owns, even the S and X, which are small numbers. That's just another validation that they can do this for anything. The Cybertruck is gone wide release. So there's people, not just the early beta users, but there's actual people, everybody's getting it now. Everybody I know who has a Cybertruck has received full self-driving. They're now testing it out, and it's so far going really well.
Let me just say one thing real quick on that. The fact that they rolled out Cybertruck from early access program to wide release so quickly, yeah. I think that's very significant. I have had a question mark for a while now around whether or not we were not seeing wide release versions of FSD come more frequently because there was some sort of a limitation. And the quick release of 12.5.4 and now the quick release of Cybertruck are two pretty strong data points that say that they're the only limitation to them rolling out features wide to the whole fleet isn't that they're worried about safety if they give this to everybody. It's that they're just trying to make sure that the functions really, really work first. And so that's why you see a whole bunch of point releases all go to EAP. And then when they feel like, okay, the pieces are all really working now, then they push wide.
Nice. Good point. So we went to early access program, you called EAP, a few people, and then the next morning it went wide. So you're right. It's not an issue. All right. So September has been a monumental, crazy month for Tesla. Tesla's been just knocking out of the park. And so then they sent a note because it's the end of September. Here's all the things we did, monthly recap. Now, take a look at this image because we're going to come back to it. There was a lot of theories of what this image represents. So you got, first of all, I'm just going to go through this list really quickly. By the way, there's so many here. I'm not going to I might stop once in a while, but there's just such a long list. So they shipped actually Smart Summon. Every car gets it. All S3s, X and Ys. It's finally around September 3rd. 1 in 10 cars in Denmark is now an electric vehicle. This is a big milestone because wherever, once you see these countries like this do this, that this is the future. This is where everything's going to go. Norway electric car sales have just set new world record, 94% market share in August. Just crazy. You got we were told EVs don't work in colder climates. There are now more EVs than petrol cars. That was another major milestone on the roads in Norway. Hands-free frunk on Cybertruck and new Model S and X. Again, this is just a great feature. I love it. I've been using it on my Model 3. You would stand right behind it, and then you just stand there. And then you'll hear beep, 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 and then it just opens up. No need to wave your foot anywhere. Just automatically opens up. They're going to Lithuania. They of course, this is the big news, was they created a list of all the things. They released their list in September 4th. They released this list of all the things they're going to accomplish in September. And guess what? They hit every single one of them. Cybertruck now has Auto Park. That was released September 9th. So that's just a feature that everybody's waiting for. And then, of course, FSD supervised. So Cybertruck is now smart. It can drive itself. And just what we've been saying, it can now drive everywhere. The word is getting out. I have a gentleman an Uber ride. I gave a gentleman an Uber ride with FSD 12.5.4. Here was the conversation. Pass it. Oh, wait a minute. So you're saying you aren't touched? Anyways, I'm not going to go through it. But yes, they're getting shocked. The Find Us page, they included the supercharger sites. I don't know why that's a big deal, but now you can see locations under construction or will be soon. It's actually doubled the number of supercharger sites in the last 2 years. And I think they're trying to show you here that, contrary to what everybody's saying, no, they are still building superchargers. That's still happening. The 100 millionth 4680 cell was produced. They announced that on September 14th across all of their factories. And so that growth of 4680 is just unbelievable. And we believe, I did a show with CERN on this, and it's just people should follow that because it's shocking how many 4680 cells that they're going to produce and then very quickly. Tesla Semi it made a European debut at this conference, and it stole the show. Everybody was just shocked how great and successful Semi is. We talked about that. Pepsi was out there, did the show, and Pepsi said that it hit every single milestone. They received positive feedback from the drivers. Even the drivers who are driving this, they don't want to go back to diesel. That's the key thing. Acceleration, uphill power, computer-controlled safety features like jackknifing protection, and it's a lot more fun and safe to drive, and they feel more relaxed. That's critical. And then, of course, now if they got Robotaxi, maybe you don't need them. But that will be very interesting. 1 million vehicles exported from Giga Shanghai. This was just reported yesterday. The millionth Shanghai. What is this? Doing our best to keep you on the road at all times. The Tesla charging network is the reason. Don't suffer from range anxiety because of Hurricane Helene. Yep, that was an issue. The supercharger network keeps growing. 100th supercharger in Australia. And then here's a rush hour in China. But basically, every car here is a Tesla. And what's cool about this, of course, is that eventually when all the cars there, the pollution and so forth will be much less. And so that's just an ordinary rush hour on the roads in China. It's all Teslas now. Welcome to the future. You got actual Smart Summon on Tesla. What is this? Oh, I guess it's actually is what we're saying. People. So the video, I don't have it here, but he was just the person was in the grocery store, started pressing the button, and the car arrived by the time they got to the lobby. Okay, so let's talk about some of the conspiracy theories, or people were going, So here's Tesla Hype and said, take a look at this image that they shared with that post. And they go, look, there's only one door mark here, right? And so what happened to the others? Is this the Robotaxi? People are now everywhere said, yes, there's no doubt. This is the Robotaxi. Look at it. If you have the door mark here, you have a wider, boxier area, you can just walk right in. And so this is overlaying. You see this dark box here, overlaying that image over the Robotaxi image, and it looks like, boy, this could be it. And then you said, hey, there's only one door seam. Maybe it's a two-seater Cybercab has been confirmed, or maybe it's a compact two-seater M3 variant. By the way, this is huge because, again, if there's only got one, why is that? Now you come back and you actually share what you actually figured out what it was later. Even TeslaFix, though, said it could actually be the Roadster because of the shape. The only thing, of course, is why are we missing those door seams here? But he overlaid the Roadster, and it also matched it quite nicely, but it's missing the seams. Here's the Roadster here, and it should have these seams here, but it doesn't. But it could have just been, it overlays nicely. So that's kind of another Easter egg, maybe. And then what you then found out was actually it's just the Model Y. I'm going to go and play your video, and then you can tell us what you're saying here. So perfect fit with the Model Y. And then you're just saying, yeah, because it doesn't have those seams there. So that's what it is.
Yeah, so I actually got tipped off to this because Viv, who runs social for Tesla, or she doesn't do all of it, but she does quite a bit of social work for Tesla. She commented on another post where people were, having some of the same speculations that we were. And she said, haha, this is just a Model Y. And so I was like, oh, gosh, no, like this must be wrong. It looks so good. And, but because of the source, I figured I probably better go check. And so that's when I went and started pulling images. And that was something that I just threw together real fast. It was definitely not the best quality way to demonstrate that. But I was really looking at speed because that post that I had made was getting a lot of traction and reach. And so if it was something that actually was false, I didn't want it to continue to just spread around on X. And so I was trying to just quickly validate, okay, could this be true? And as soon as I overlaid it, you got to turn it just right. Like the angles are hard to match up, but once you get the right angle, it does look like it in fact could just be that Model Y silhouette that they were looking at, which, because it was at that angle, that's why you don't immediately think it's going to be the Model Y, because it looked so flat and sleek. It, didn't look like the taller curve of the Model Y roofline. But it's that trunk. So that seam at the back is the trunk lid seam. It's not a door seam. And that's
Yeah.
just
The
perfect,
angle.
like
Yeah.
almost exact matchup. And this is just a random picture that I put up. That picture probably doesn't have the exact angle of view of the roof line of the Model Y that
Yeah.
the shot that Viv put in there did. So it was a little bit disappointing. I would have loved to have been more correct on that, but glad that she was able to combat the misinformation quickly,
Yeah.
and we can sort this one
People,
out.
some people are going, oh my God, you Tesla bulls, you guys are like grasping for straws, looking for things anywhere. Guys, it's just having fun. We're just having fun. And because so you
Well,
have your
and
conspiracy
Tesla
theory,
has
I've
fun
got
with
mine.
us because they
Yeah,
put out these
they
Easter
do.
eggs all the time, and so you have
Yeah.
to like
Yeah.
you don't know
Yeah.
when it is and when it's not. And so that's why
It's
the
for fun.
speculation is there, is because
Yeah.
sometimes it's legit.
Okay, so I made fun. I was gonna make fun of you and Farzad because you go, "Oh, I found something, Robotaxi," and I'm like, "No, it's not. No, it's not." Then I have my own conspiracy theory, and I'm gonna share that shortly. You can make fun of me later, but before we do that, just finish off this particular story. You had Tesla show so many. I mean, it's just one after another. All the things they accomplished in September. Comments on that? I mean, I just think that things are accelerating. It feels like every day there's new news and important milestone that Tesla's hitting. Like it's like all these things that have been happening, they're building up in the background over the year. All of a sudden, things are happening and it's showing up now. Boom, boom, boom. We're talking about megapack factories. We're talking about Semi. We're talking about Cybertruck. We're talking about FSD. Everything. Eventually we're going to get more news on bots, and just every day there's going to be something that all of a sudden they just keep knocking out. What's your thoughts on September?
The amount of execution that we saw this month was just mind blowing, especially with respect to full self driving. The fact that they put out such an ambitious set of targets and then not only delivered them, but delivered them wide to customers. Like Cybertruck went wide to customers yesterday, not just EAP. So they delivered them wide. Um, and this is a product that we're so used to just getting delays on. And so, it's a
Good point.
very nice change of pace to see them put milestones out there, to hit the milestones on time at scale. And obviously, most of the retail investment thesis around Tesla is going to be connected to FSD, robotaxis, and Optimus bots. And so, if we can see good execution here on FSD, that helps to give us a little bit more confidence about some of these other theses that we have. And so, yeah, but it's not only that. There are a whole host of other things that we talked about where they are executing, and they're executing well. And this is just kind of how it goes with such a hard technology company, where they're tackling problems that a lot of people really are not, either they're not tackling at the same level, or they're just not tackling at all. To see them make years and years of progress on the fundamentals, but the stock just kind of trading sideways. Eventually, you get to the point where they have been moving the ball, and it just wasn't fully visible to the public, the progress that they were making. But you get to the point like this where things just start to line up and the dominoes start to fall, and the public reality really becomes apparent. And I think that's kind of a point that we're at the beginning of. I don't think that, I mean, I would love to be wrong. It would be awesome if the stock shoots to 500 over the next 6 months to a year or beyond. But I think that, we still have maybe a little bit still to go, but this is a good early indication that yes, Tesla is on the path to produce, billions and billions of dollars worth of recurring revenue in the not too distant future, that could add trillions of dollars to the overall market cap in the next decade.
It's moving fast, and we're seeing it every day. This is getting fun. Okay, so for this next segment, I've got my own theories of Easter eggs, and you can tell me if you think I'm way off the rocker or there's something here. These are just Easter eggs. Again, we're just having fun. So at first, if you guys remember, Tesla Korea has been posting on their Instagram account these kind of images, these cryptic images. So on September 27th, so just 3 or 4 days ago, they posted this image. It looks like a computer keyboard. It's got zeros falling down like a matrix and all that. So initially people go, oh my God, that must mean it's FSD, right? It's like full self-driving, zero code neural net. The next day, September 28th, they posted this, a bunch of zeros in this kind of black and white kind of image here. And then they posted this. It's just a zero with this kind of like a light source behind it. And then everybody goes, oh God, what is these? What are these three things? What are they doing? Why are they dropping this? Well, the very next day, Tesla Korea introduced a new 0% interest promotion for Q4. So now 0% interest rate on loans up to 60 months for the Model Y, rear-wheel drive Model Y long range. This is what all the zero teasers were referring to on the Tesla Korea social pages. It's not Robotaxi related at all. It's just the zero interest promotion. So that's what people thought. Well, I am saying that maybe since they posted a different image for 3 days, maybe it's a trifecta. Maybe there's going to be a zero interest, maybe it's zero down, and there's FSD. So this is the prediction that I have. I did a show with Jeff Lutz, and we were both speculating about that green video posting, the recent cryptic images. And we said, maybe it's an Easter egg about a Tesla partnership announced by Hyundai. That's what we both thought. That's why Tesla Korea is doing that. Well, a viewer pointed out how in the photo, the letters H, Y, and U are clearly shown. So if you take a look at this, you can see that H, Y, and U are clearly shown. Now, this is just a normal keyboard, but you see the T, so maybe it's Tesla. You see a tiny little T. It looks like a 2 cross marks. So everybody's kind of like now focusing, what's that down here? What is that? Is that time? Is that, I think, some sort of a code? Somebody else said it's high, H-I, high. Then you got 6, 7, and 8. But if you look at this thing, it's actually not a 6. So it looks more like an ampersand, like and. And then there's a no sign here. Like, so what's going on here? Anyways, that was the theory. It's having fun. What do you think, Cons?
Yeah, I love the speculation. I think there's definitely a chance that this is kind of teasing a partnership with Hyundai specifically, just because Hyundai Kia is one of the companies that really is trying to push forward to EVs much more strongly and effectively than other legacy OEMs. I've got a screen share up if you want to put it up that I think might add a little bit of context to this. So this was posted by the Tesla Korea page on September 26th. You can see
The day
before. So just before that, and the translation, if it's correct, and I have no ability to read Korean to know if this is, but it says safety is Tesla's biggest promise. And so the fact that they posted this right at the same time that they were beginning to post all these zeros, I think it's also possible that some sort of maybe safety metric is involved with these zeros. That's maybe it's 0 fatalities in the country of Korea in a Tesla for the year of 2023 or, something to that effect. And that could definitely play into your, zero interest, 0 down, 0 fatalities, something like that. But man, I would be excited to see a partnership, to come back to your thing, with Hyundai, specifically because we know that Elon has talked about there's at least one legacy OEM who they're in talks with.
Right.
A lot of people think that that's Ford. It's definitely possible. I mean, obviously Jim Farley was the first one to get on board with NACS, but I also have listened to Jim speak at length for a long time about their ambitions to be able to monetize their Blue Cruise software. And I don't think he's ready to give up on that yet. And so if he's not, then that makes a player like Hyundai potentially rise in the rankings of possible potential legacy auto partners. And I think it would be a great fit on both ends.
Right. So Hyundai would be a good partner, because I think the other thing Elon said was that we would like to have a partnership, and there's one, maybe two or more, that are going to be, we're having conversations with right now, but they need to have at least 1 million cars per year kind of thing. Need to be able to create 1 million cars. If they can't do that, then we don't want to partner with them. That was his point. And so Hyundai is perfect because they actually are able to produce millions of electric vehicles. And then people go, well, what about their partnership with Waymo or their partnership with Motional? Well, look what this article came out and talked about. Hyundai-backed Motional struggles deepen as Tesla eyes August Robotaxi debut. This was in May, a few months ago. So what's happened is Motional was their partner, LiDAR based, just like a lot of people were. Problem is Motional, Hyundai, I'm sorry, it's not their partner. Yeah, it's their joint venture. They hit a rough patch, facing major investor pullouts, delayed service launch, 40% workforce reduction. This is as Tesla was coming to do a Robotaxi. This was in August. Of course, now it's October. They still expect, so experts say that they still expect industry-wide investments in full self-driving and robotaxi technologies due to their cash-generating potential for car makers, operators, and car owners. So that was the reason I think that maybe Hyundai. All right, the final story here is Tesla was victorious in a lawsuit. There was this lawsuit about, that Tesla was making these statements about full self-driving that were misleading. They were just used to pump the stock price up. A U.S. district judge dismissed the suit that was brought on by some of the shareholders who said CEO Elon Musk exaggerated the capabilities and timeline of FSD. It's one example that Bloomberg did say it was, Musk stating that drivers would be able to sleep in their cars while they travel by 2020. Of course, that didn't happen. The judge said that some of the statements were in regards to future plans, but others were not technically false. So the plaintiffs failed to connect Musk's hand-on management with any information that he allegedly learned, rendering his statements false or misleading. Not enough info for them to win that lawsuit. So, the suit said that he sold $39 billion and he was just there to throw it out. So, suit's done. Thoughts on that?
It's just good to see this one put to bed. There's lawsuits all the time, and I don't know, it's a volatile situation. I, as a shareholder, obviously don't hold Elon's enthusiasm around timelines against him. This is an impossible thing. Waymo has made great progress on full self-driving, but their solution doesn't scale to the whole world either. And so they have kind of solved it in a way, but they haven't solved it to the level that Elon is talking about solving it. So no one has accomplished this yet. And they're trying to do something that's impossible. We know that, one of the running jokes is that Elon accomplishes the impossible and it's just late. And I think that's the situation that we're in. Obviously, he would have loved to have been able to deliver higher functioning FSD to customers sooner. But we're just continually watching the progress. And I think for most retail investors, it's about, are they continuing to make progress? Have we stalled or are we continuing? If we're continuing to make progress, we don't know exactly when we're going to get there, but we know we'll get there eventually. And I'm sure that people are upset about this if they didn't understand the technical difficulty of the problem that Elon was trying to solve. But I think that is really on them for not doing their full due diligence.
Thank you so much, Hans. That was great. That was a lot of fun today. We've covered quite a bit of stories here, all new information that came in yesterday. Thank you so much, Hans. Follow him on his YouTube channel. Check him out on X, Hans C. Nelson. Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye. I've created a website that is the most comprehensive resource for the Tesla investor. Please check it out. Simply go to my website at herbertong.com.